Hi everybody, welcome back to Laura A Vlogs. Um, I wanted to talk about forgiveness. And this, thought, I'm always reflecting a lot of things that I've been through in my life. And how much I have changed and still am a work in progress because of the fact that with so much struggles that I've been through in my personal life that people in from different walks of life have hurt me in my past, how I was able to get past those moments, those difficult moments. And so, us human beings, when it comes to forgiving another person for the things they've done to you, it's a very hard thing to let go. Is the forgiveness, the resentment. It's a very hard thing to do because of the fact that you feel like the world is against you and that people are out there to hurt you. And so I've been feeling like that even as of recently. I felt like people always wanting to hurt me because of their own issues that they people are dealing in their own lives. And so it brought me back in a time that I had to learn to forgive. And it's not like I'm going to say I'm, the best human being on the earth, that I sprinkle forgiveness every single day. These things, take time for me because it's really it's a very hard personal journey to learn to let go of the anger, resentment, and the hurt that people, inflict on me. And when it comes to forgiving, I'm the type of person that I will own up when someone hurts. Like if I hurt an individual and say, hey, I screwed up. I am really sorry for my part. And so these things have to be mutual when you are sharing, the art of forgiveness. Because I always say to people, I don't like carrying these heavy, dark energies of being spiteful and vindictive, if I can say it properly, and find a way to hurt another person back because of their own, my own insecurities and resentment that I carry. I try not to do that. I learned that by you carrying that type of energy, all you're doing is creating that bad karma, not only for that person that you're inflicting on, but you're doing that bad karma to yourself, because you're going to reap what you sow. If you hurt somebody emotionally, spiritually, don't think that you're going to get away with it and be scot-free. No, there's going to be terrible backlash that will inflict on you. And if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But I see it as like this. If you inflict positive feelings towards another person, then good things will come back to you. And so in my past, I dealt with being very vindictive in my own way because of the hurt that I carried in my heart. And so it led me to think about when I was in a relationship with my second born the father of my second born child, that my relationship with him was so toxic. And this is something that I never shared with you guys, but it's a very personal story because I didn't want to bring it out years ago because of the fact that sensitivity from my son. But now that he's of age and now he knows the story of how things went down between me and his father, he's grown to accept that, yeah, it was the best thing to do, is just to walk away. And that's the good thing about my son, that he is so emotionally mature to see the struggles that I, been through and still go through, just to keep our family together. And so it brought me back to the time when I was with his father, that our relationship was very toxic. And to the point that it became physically altercations because of the fact that I didn't know at the time that I was dealing with a narcissist. He was always lying. He always, make it seem like I was the problem. And yet all I was trying to do is create a family. I became pregnant for a child that he didn't want. He pretty much neglected my pregnancy, even till this day. Neglected of even recognizing that he has a child because of his own issues that he has. And so at that time, he was pretty much involved with his first girlfriend, which happened to be the mother of his first child. And so little did I knew that he was involved. So he was pretty much involved with me and her at the same time. It got to the point that he was pinning us against each other. And we used to have these really toxic screaming matches. And she even tried to show up into the apartment where I was living with him, to the point that she wanted to know what's going on. And he just was refusing to even admit to anything. It got so bad to the point that that I suffered severe depression at that time. I pretty much tried to hurt myself. I have 3 herniated discs around my neck because of what I tried to do to myself. I was constantly cutting myself because of the things that I was dealing with him and all the psychological nonsense that he was inflicting on me. It was so bad that I even had to admit myself to the hospital, because the only way I needed to get that relief from not hurting myself. Because that's one thing, when I had my son, I never hurt him. And I made sure that he stood safe regardless. And so I did was I admitted myself in the hospital and make sure that I got the proper treatment. But that being said, after all that time that I went through with that relationship, I was carrying so much anger and resentment with him and with his ex-girlfriend. But what I didn't know was that she was being traumatized too. And so it took me years of trying to let go of the hurt, the anger, the resentment of what had happened with us. I mean, I was in therapy for a while. And then after that, after I pretty much stopped therapy, I just kept reflecting on a lot of things that I felt during that time. And then other relationships came about between here and there that didn't work out. And I kept reflecting on how could I let go of this pain, because I kept carrying that pain for years. And to a point that for some reason, his ex reached out to me on Facebook, but I accepted her, but I was not ready to talk to her. And something inside of me said, just accept her, but I wasn't ready just to have a talk. And so I did was, for years, I had her on Facebook. She pretty much monitored my pictures and stuff like that. And I really didn't engage any conversations at all, because I was still feeling the hurt and resentment that I was carrying. Until I started becoming involved with my ex-fiance. At the time, he was my boyfriend. And he was working as a security guard in Midtown Manhattan. And by coincidence, his ex was working in the building where he worked. So she recognized him by the pictures that I had put up. And she approached him. And she wanted for her, like, she reached out to him to say, hey, tell Laura that I really would like to have a conversation. It's regarding my daughter that wants to meet her brother. Because after all, she had a daughter from him, from my ex, and of course I had my son. And so when he came to me and brought the picture of the daughter, of Brandon's sister, I just was not ready. I just felt like all that hurt came about. Again, I felt like this anxiety kick in. And I was just like, no, I'm just not ready. I'm not ready for this. I can't focus on this right now. And so, again, it took a long time. Until I think it was 2017, that she reached out to me again through social media. Hey, I'm throwing my daughter's birthday party and she would like to see her brother. For some reason, I asked my son, because at the time he was going into, he was about to go graduate from grade school, going into middle school, and he said, yeah, I want to meet my sister. I was like, okay, we could do this then. Because if, I was willing to do this because of him. So I went to where she lived, and they had like a backyard birthday party. I met her. We were very cordial with each other. We talked for a little bit, like having the kids to feel comfortable with each other. And once the kids are starting to get the bond going, I said, well, now it's up to you guys to keep the relationship going, because you don't need me to mediate for you guys to talk to each other. Then, it was kind of awkward at first, but then it got easier as time went on. And I could say around, I think it was before the pandemic, it's 2019. I think it was during the summer of 20, or no, not the summer. I think it was the spring of 2019. I invited my son. He said, Ma, can we invite them over here to the apartment and to have dinner? I would like to see my sister. And I said, fine, sure. So we arranged a day, they came uptown. We ordered Chinese. We had a sit down. We started talking about life and stuff like that. And next thing you know, the conversation came about how our relationship with their father didn't work out. And so, at first I was kind of thrown off, but then I said, you know what, it's time. It's time for them to know what really happened and how we hated each other at the time. And she explained what she went through. Little did I know what she was going through. And then I explained what I went through. And she didn't know what I was going through at that time either. And when we both realized that we were victims of abuse, of narcissist abuse, that's when everything pretty much clicked. And we told our kids, this is why we don't have you with your father, like interact with your father, because we don't want him to pretty much mentally abuse you, because he already started with the abuse with his daughter, adding some really nasty things to her mind that she wound up having psychiatric issues. But me, I just refused to have my son be contacted with him. So the point I'm trying to get at is that by having that conversation with our kids and realizing where we were both in really bad state of mind and feeling hurt of what happened, we were able to let go the resentment that we had towards each other, the anger, the frustrations, because after the end of all that happened, we came to realize that we were pretty much the same type of people, that we want the best for our kids. And so and I even turned around and said, you know what, I am really sorry that I did this to you. I explained, how I was feeling at that time and the stuff that I was going through. And when I own up to my feelings, she owned up to her feelings. And so this is the day that we both let go. The resentment, the anger, the frustration of the past. Since that day, we've been really good with each other. We, every so often she reaches out, sends me a text, or I reach out, acknowledging the text because I've been so busy. But, we made peace. And from that time on, that when I left the relationship with my son's father, I made a promise to myself that I will never, ever will fight for any type of individual just to keep a relationship. I can't forgive a person for doing things, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna open the door and allow that individual to come back to my life. And so that day, anytime that I was in a certain type of relationship with a person and there was somebody involved, I will just exit. I'm like, nope, not doing it. Because by you entertaining fights with another woman, man, all you're doing is creating mental instability, being part of a 3-ring circus. And I refuse to go through that same door that I went through years ago with my son's father. And so the point I'm trying to get is, walk away from any relationships that they are very toxic. You can forgive those individuals. It's really hard because I could tell you right now, I'm trying really hard to let go of certain people that hurt me as of recently. But I refuse to carry any dark hate in my heart. Because when you carry that dark hate and anger that you want to inflict on another individual, then obviously you need help. Me, I refuse to live in that moment in life of being angry and resentment to the point that you want to hurt another human being, emotionally or physically. It's not worth that much energy. It's important to really, if you don't want to be part of anybody's life, then walk away. You could wish them the best. Me, I pray. I every day I fold my hands and pray for people that have hurt me in my past. And hopefully that these people can change. But I am not going to turn around and carry that type of resentment and inflict it or carry, all that resentment in my heart for the rest of my life. Because I promised myself and to my mother that I will never do that. That I will never carry hurt of the past for the rest of my life. I refuse to do that. This is why I try to do is appreciate a little bit of what life is about. Enjoy my moments of peace with my family and create good memories in my future, my present and future. And so forgiveness takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. But you got to be really patient with yourself and acknowledge why you're feeling that hurt, what's triggering it. Maybe it's something that you're not realizing, that you've probably learned something in the past from somebody else, or maybe things that happened to you, you didn't realize, you thought you got over it and you didn't get over it. But take your time of letting go, because it's not a rush on like you got to get over it by the end of the week and then everything is fine. It doesn't work like that. It's a work in progress. Like I said, it took me years to get over the frustration and anger that I dealt with my son's stepmother. It took a long time. But once we were able to hash things out, things changed for the better for our family. Now we're the blended family. But, it's something that I am very proud till this day. Even I share it on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook. I'm like, hey, this is my family too. Everybody's like, wow, that's very rare. It is. But you can make it work. And so, ladies, if you are in a situation, or gentlemen, that you're being pinned against to other women, make you feel that insecurity because that individual wants you to fight for them, make them feel special, don't do it. Have pride for yourself. If you're being put into a 3-ring circus and try to fight for position, it's not worth it. It's definitely not worth it. Have self-love for yourself. Take time in forgiving people that have put you in those positions. But it doesn't mean you have to open that door and let them back in your life. I mean, if you have kids if you have children that from the same father, and that other person is willing to meet you halfway, then you work it for that child. But if it's something that is too painful for you, just walk away. Get help, get therapy. Give your time to heal mentally, spiritually, and physically. But I think forgiveness needs to be done in your own right time. Alrighty, so it's a long video, but I wanted to bring it out. I know it's a very heavy topic of what I just said, but I think it's really important because I've seen so many people going through this and thinking that living in toxicity of this type is normal and it should be accepted, and it's not. It should not be accepted. I don't care what walks of life you come from. I think it's a new mindset needs to be changed. And I think we need to have these type of conversations, even amongst family, and make positive changes for the right way, especially if you got children involved. Because if you have children, you want to set the proper example for those kids. I don't care of what kind of ego you're carrying in your heart, that you have how much anger and resentment you have for your partner. Don't do that. Alrighty, so thank you again for viewing my vlog, and I'll catch you guys soon on the next vlog.